So when it comes to men's health and, like, finding yourself in this, like, men's coaching space, there's still, like, this very big barrier when it comes to social stigma and men asking for help, and for some reason, it seems to be, like, a systemic problem, right? Like, we have if you go to a university, there's often a ton of programs for young women, and it's often free, and we don't have that for men, but we're almost pretending that, like, men don't suffer from any mental illness or depression or anxiety or lack of purpose, or like they don't need assistance in feeling, essentially, which is crazy because if you look at the statistics, men are almost 4 times more likely to commit suicide. So if you have that alarming number on that side, why are we not providing resources for them?
I cannot answer this question. I don't know why, right? Like my whole career is providing resources for men to get help. I think it's just the swing of the pendulum when people feel like one race or gender or system hasn't been addressed, they totally swing into the extreme and kind of ignore the opposite.
Mhm.
And for so long, women didn't have rights and we couldn't vote. And now we're just like in the extreme. And I think that we are seeing the pendulum swing back down into some type of middle ground because there is a lot of effort, I think, now in the men's community to get them resources, to acknowledge their suffering, to acknowledge that they're not just robots meant to go to war and to provide and, just to be dads that are like not dads.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy to me. We've kind of treated them as dispensable for a really long time. It's
Yeah.
go put your life on the line for our freedoms, go serve the country, but when you come back, there is no integration. There's no therapy provided. There's no healing of PTSD. There's no connection. There's no acknowledgement of what they did. And then I wish I had the numbers written down. I meant to write everything, maybe but like the percentage of men that come back from serving that are at risk for either becoming an alcoholic, becoming homeless, becoming suicidal, having lack of purpose, lack of connection, it's insane, and then they're left out there without a paddle.
Absolutely. It's absolutely a high rate. Like I said, I definitely think that there's more programs being done now, but the complaints that I hear is it doesn't have very good quality or there's a huge wait list or it's not exactly they don't feel understood, right? It just feels kind of like an initiative was made to put it there, but they don't feel heard or understood or listened to. So it's kind of up to them to get their own support, which is really sad because it's just not as much as women.
Yeah, I was reading, through some of your comments, and one of them was I wish it was a really unique story, but it wasn't. I've heard it quite a bit. Let me see if I can find where I put it. And The Boy Crisis, I don't did you ever read that book?
The
The
boy
Boy
crisis?
Mhm.
No, never.
Highly recommend it, highly recommend it. It's the story that is old as time where a man is working, like, 16 hours a day to provide for his family. He thinks he's doing the right thing, so he's not spending a ton of time with his wife or his kids, but he is the sole breadwinner, and he's doing all of these things. The wife wants a private school, so then he's working overtime. She wants a bigger house, and then he takes the promotion that requires him to travel more, and all of these decisions that he's making for the family are actually creating more of a disconnect between him and the family. So eventually, what ends up happening is she slaps him with a divorce order, and he feels like it's out of nowhere. And then he gets to see the kids maybe 6 days a month if he's lucky, and then pay for child support from a shitty apartment while she keeps everything else. And then they're left in this place of eventually with for some suicidal ideation because they're like I lost everything overnight and I don't know what happened. So do you have, I guess, advice or just like what to look out for when making like when this happens for men, or like how to maybe see the telltale signs? Like what do you do for when you're in this situation, because it's a night like that would be an absolute nightmare, but for a lot of men this happens a lot.
Absolutely. And it's really sad because the judicial system is never in favor of men, which
Mhm.
is really sad because for obvious reasons. I mean, before anybody gets married, I just say have a prenup, first of all, because if you don't, you're subjecting yourself to every state's prenup. And it's not about like you don't trust that your partner's going to be with you forever. It's just things happen that we can't predict. And you never want to fall victim to things that you could have, prevented. So that's number one. Number two is like, always check in with your partner and never make any assumptions. That's number one. Always check in with your partner, never make any assumptions, and always check in with yourself and never forego your own needs because you think that's what everybody else wants. Because this is what happens with a lot of men I see. They don't stick up for themselves. They just kind of take it. They don't ask for what they want, and they are kind of suffering for years and years and years. And then they still get hit with a divorce and they're like, "Oh, I just sacrificed everything. I never asked for anything. It was always what they wanted." And that's not what your partner usually wants. Your partner wants you to be a partner. Your partner
Mhm.
wants you to stand up for yourself and to ask for your needs to be met. And if they don't, find that out early on during dating, right? Because then that's not a partner. That's someone who just wants you to do for them, and that's not love.